Games in this podcast range from E to M.
Hi, it's Larry Herb, Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to the official Xbox podcast. You are along for the ride with me and my wonderful, I don't know, you're more host than co-host. Jeff over there on the left and Rebecca over there on the right. Hi, gang.
You're the left and the right.
I'm looking at a mirror here, so it's really hard to figure it out. So Jeff and Rebecca, how's that?
There we go. You nailed it.
That works.
Wait, did we just get promoted, by the way, from co-host to host?
Only took a year. Nice.
Well, you're on the trajectory. Watch
for me.
Watch.
How about year 7?
Yeah, it's not true. Is it year 7, Jeff?
I think so.
I think you're
probably
right.
Showed up on this like maybe 2014,
Wow.
2015.
And here we are, and I still can't get rid of you. Here we
Forever,
go.
forever a bridesmaid.
It's great. We got a good show this week for you. We got a bunch of interviews. We've got talk about xCloud, Fortnite on xCloud. We talked about that last week. Jeff, you've got an interesting interview with Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. I know you did a stream on that last week.
Yeah, as a sort of a JRPG companion piece. We'll be talking a lot more about it. It's definitely my most played game this week, having a ton of fun with it. And it is great to see Japan develop games like on Game Pass on our platform, and just there's so much to play and enjoy.
This month is Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and so we have Ada from the Minecraft team. She has great history with Lucasfilms and Mojang Studios and Xbox, and so it was great to just talk to her about her career and all the things she's doing within the Asian community at Xbox too.
And those will all come up
Which
later
show
on,
we
but
can
first we're going to kind of get into what we're playing. I guess I'll kind of kick it off because I'm not playing much because the new Halo Infinite season is out with a little bit of Last Man Standing, or Last Spartan Standing, I should say. So I'm playing quite a bit of that. For some reason, I just kind of go in there. I have not gotten the coveted number 1 position yet. I've gotten number 2 by kind of turtling it, but what am I going to do? So that's
Okay, you'll get there next week.
Next week, I know. Plenty of time to do that.
It's hard to get those solo wins. Like when you're playing in a group, you're playing like if you're running duos or quads, like sometimes you can like sleep on it a little bit and be carried to victory. When you're running solo,
it's all you. It's now you're playing.
Yeah, no one to watch your back.
If I remember, Jeff, you said you were playing Fortnite solo, right?
Yeah, I've been just running a lot, trying it out on cloud gaming and just playing really a ton throughout the weekend. Where I want the Doctor Strange skin. That's what I want. And there's actually the Battle Pass is really loaded this month. There's some really good stuff. And in fact, they had brought last week back as the Xbox, as the game became available through cloud gaming. Just go to xbox.com/play. That's all you need. Just go. They put all of the sort of Xbox heroes back into the game. So Master Chief, who I had bought Master Chief when that was first announced back at like the Game Awards 2020, 2021. But also, I had not picked up, I'd missed out when Marcus Phoenix and Kate Diaz from Gears had been brought into the game.
Yep.
And so I was able to pick them up, and I was getting all of their stuff, and I ended up, I spent like a bunch of V-Bucks this weekend. I ended up getting the Gravity Hammer, and so you can equip that as your harvester. So anyway, having a lot of fun. They put a bunch of Star Wars stuff in last week that I did not expect. So you're
May the
running around
4th.
with like, well, yes. So you can have and it's temporary, I think this week, last week and this week, you can get a lightsaber, which can be used both offensively and defensively. And I hadn't really been using it that much because I'm like, defense, I don't do that. And then yesterday I got a little too close to somebody.
Bullets, or
you can do that. You can do it defensively, and you can repel a certain amount of those. After a while, you can get broken down. Someone got on top of me with like Kylo Ren's, like the sort of, the crosshatch saber that he's got with the, what are those things called? The hand guards or whatever.
vents. Yeah.
Sure. It was over very quickly. It was not great. So that's cool. But then there's this blaster, which completely changed the meta. You have sort of I think it's the Stormtrooper blaster, doesn't need to reload. And
does it have low accuracy?
Really, and so,
the Stormtrooper reference.
I'll blame the gun. Very good. Very good. But I did get a couple of second place finishes in that. I would say that coupled with the drum shotty, it's a good place to be right now.
But you're playing that, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later on in that interview. I said Catherine talks about some of those skins. Awesome. So if you have a chance, go to, as Jeff said, xbox.com/play. Other than that, Jeff, what are you playing?
Yeah, well, Eiyuden Chronicle, which I had mentioned, currently available on Game Pass. It's a companion piece. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but it's an action RPG made by the folks that
It's
are coming
available
out
now.
with a really, and it's just really relaxing and fun because you're building up a world. So the action is in there, and there's some bosses. It's not Dark Souls. It's not Elden Ring. You're not going to be throwing your controller or anything like that. But there's some technique to it, which is really fun. And it's just, I don't know, you just keep building up this town. And as a result, I'm just finding it just very relaxing and playing a ton of it. So I expect to see that one all the way through.
You know, it's funny you mentioned throwing the controller, and I got one of the pink controllers that we announced a couple weeks ago.
I wouldn't throw that one.
So I know this is quite
Lucky.
lucky. We're going to talk about Lucky, Miss Rebecca, because you're getting something to show off later in the show. So
Yes,
Whoa,
that's true.
what
I
is
have a
this?
nice big surprise over here next to me.
All right.
we'll have to
What have
stay.
you been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing, Rebecca?
Yeah, so I started playing Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, and I loved it. I feel like I've played games that have been similar. Like it looks very like cute. You kind of go on tasks, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy like a nice like kind of offbeat sense of humor. So like there was a point where I'm going through, and then there's these snails, and then a sign says, "Watch out, the snails are vegetarians." In my head, I'm like, okay. That's nice. I like walk by and the snail bites me and I'm like, oh, I'm a turnip. That makes
Right.
sense. They're vegetarians. They're gonna eat me. But it was pretty cute. I liked it a lot. I think that I actually started playing it like I had an hour in between some meetings, and so I was like, okay, I'll try to squeeze in some game
Sure.
time. And I played it for the full hour, so I think I want to keep playing it. It was pretty good. I'd recommend it. It's out on Game Pass.
Yep.
And then I was going to check out the Halo Infinite Lone Wolf mode, but I have not played Halo Infinite in a long time, and there was about an hour's worth of updating, so I'm going to come back to that one later.
Okay.
But instead, I started Life is Strange True Colors. I read about it on last week's obviously, I've heard of the game before, but it's featured in our Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month collection on Xbox, and it's on Game Pass. And the protagonist, her name is Alex Chen. She's, I believe she's also bisexual. She's Asian American. So it's nice intersectionality, kind of seeing life through her eyes, making decisions through her eyes. And
Yep.
My roommate was sitting next to me when I was playing, who is, she's not a gamer. And so she was like, this game is kind of like a movie. This is really interesting. And then, give it like 2 more decisions. And she's like, no, push X, like do that one
really?
instead. And so, it's a good game. And it seems like it's a really good game to play like with folks who maybe aren't gamers and are just more curious in the story. So again, recommend folks check it out. I assume that you guys have both played it. I think
Yep.
Jeff, you had said you had maybe.
I think
Okay,
I
yeah.
played quite a bit of that actually. So yeah, I do need to go back. It's a very different type of game than obviously Infinite or any of the other ones. So yeah, I do need to go back to that. It is exactly like a movie, where the beautifully scripted cut scenes and camera angles, and you get to move through the environment and make those decisions. So it's definitely worth a moment to check it out.
I am wondering how much tax evasion you can get done in an hour. It's not enough time
With
to,
a
like, set
turnip.
up with the turnip, like it's not enough time to set up a shell company in the Caymans or anything. You just like sort of like doctor some receipts or something, or I don't. The name alone, like what I have
Well-
in my mind, cannot possibly be the game, right?
So I think you've done all the tax evading right from the beginning, and so then you're kind of like doing these tasks to try.
You're on the lam.
Get off the hook. It kind of reminds me of what's the Cuphead in that sense, where it's like you're kind of starting the game out from in debt or something.
A deficit position.
Yeah.
Right, but it's such a cute game. Like every time you get a letter, like it has it like up on the screen, and then you have the option to just put it away, or you can rip it up. And I rip it up every single time, and I got an achievement for ripping up enough pieces of paper. So
You have to store those documents for 10 years. You never know when you'll be
Document
audited,
retention,
Turnip Boy.
Rebecca. Document retention. No.
nope, me
Okay.
and Turnip Boy were one and the same.
Okay. That's good. All right. So that's
If Rebecca's not on the show in the future, we'll know why.
yes. Anyway, well, that's great. So you've had a busy week out in New York. Sounds like the weather's been good too. I've been checking the weather out there.
Yeah, it's been nice. Hoping for some sunshine and not rain. I've been telling them all about my leaking apartment problems. But yeah, it's been pretty nice. But I'm excited. Like I said, like I have a couple more games I want to play this coming weekend though. So hopefully the weather isn't too nice. But
The ever compelling Larry asks about the weather segment on the show, which everyone really wants to know. What was the weather like where one of the hosts was at 4 days ago.
All right,
That's a
all
good
right, all
question.
right. Thank you.
I have to.
Should
I'm legally
we
mandated
use
to
this
give Larry.
opportunity to go into the interviews?
Well, we got a little bit of news first, and then we'll go into the
Okay.
interview. So, Jeff, I know you've got some news there, so I guess the ever compelling Jeff will bring it in and bring us into the news.
First of all, I do want to let everyone know that it's 51 degrees and sunny. Thanks, Windows 11, for letting me know that. Partly sunny, I should say, which also would mean partly cloudy. How does that even work? I should probably know. So, hey, busy week here with news. Really cool reveal that I would recommend you check out on Xbox Wire. Gotham Knights had a big gameplay reveal where they showed off Nightwing and Red Hood. Getting very excited for this one. This one is going to be out. It's a next-gen only game, Xbox Series X and S. And it's going to be coming out in late October. So, I'm very excited to see how that game comes together. We haven't gotten to play like a cool DC game in a long time. So look for that one, Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights.
Couple games, new releases. Evil Dead, the game, is out now. It's inspired by the original Evil Dead films, which I saw entirely too young as a child, but probably could handle that a little bit better now. Also based on the show that's on Stars called Ash versus the Evil Dead. Also launched a game called Soundfall, which is a rhythm-based combat game where there's hundreds of songs and you loot and shoot, and that sounds really interesting to me. So maybe I'll try that this week and tell you about it.
I'm
next
looking
week.
forward to looting and shooting to the sound of the Bee Gees.
I
I have no idea what the music is.
We have quite a bit.
Staying
That's
on. Staying on.
I see where you're going with
There we
that.
go. Thank you.
You got there first, Rebecca. Good job. Do you all play Hurdle at all?
Oh,
Rebecca, all right.
No,
Larry, I can
didn't
tell
you
it's a
see I
knowing
left
laugh.
the chat.
Jeff knows I play it because he and I have had many a spirited discussions about
Yes.
our musical knowledge.
I mean, I'm sure, like, I still play Wordle. That's sort of like a family thing. We do it around dinner, and I still have the worst average in the house somehow. But Hurdle is like kind of the same thing where you like hear 1 second of a song and you have to guess. And if you're wrong, then you get another second, and it goes up to like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something like that. And all of them, I either get it in like 1 second or I don't get it at all. And today was a don't get it at all song. But well, anyway, highly recommend. But it's always
Song
funny to
was
see
it.
which ones Larry gets. Like if it's a 90s like R&B or pop hit, like Larry's gonna get it in 1 second every time. If it came out after 1999,
The line is like October 1999. It's very, very specific.
it's pretty good. So anyway, good times. Recommend to check it out.
Any hurdle.
So that's also not coming out on Game Pass. It's free, but
That's
for,
the ever
Game Pass,
compelling hurdle segment.
in between while you're downloading your updates, you can play your hurdle for the day. We have like a ongoing chat. So a couple Game Pass games besides Ayuden Chronicle, which we had talked about, that are now available this week. Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition. This is a game. We've all been in the situation where we go on a class trip to an island and it turns into like a life or death game show. Anyway, now you can play that as part of Game Pass. This War of Mine Final Cut, which is remastered for Xbox Series X and S.
Yes.
And you, I don't know, timely is the wrong word, but definitely I think perspective building in what, when we're playing games and you're kind of playing in sort of you generally take the role of people with power, I
Yep.
guess you would say. You're the one firing the gun. And I think games have the ability to put you into a place or to show you perspectives that you really just could never see otherwise. And this War of Mine is one of those games. So you're playing a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city, and you're struggling with like how do you stay alive? Like how do you get the necessities you need, trading and things like that? And there's danger from hostile troops in the area. So very different type of game, and worth checking out to think about things like maybe on a different perspective than you tend to see, I think, just in pop culture most of the time. And lastly, hard right turn here. NHL 22 is now available with Game Pass.
One would call it a power
Probably
play
should have
even.
changed the orders. Oh, there we go. So it's part of, if you have Game Pass Ultimate via EA Play, and if you're a member, you can get NHL 22 rewards, including new gear sets and other stuff like that. So there you go. That is the news. Oh, last thing, Larry, speaking of the 90s,
Yes.
How old? Test for the two of you. Price is Right rules. Get to the year without going over.
Okay.
What year did Microsoft Solitaire officially become part of Windows? Because it had its anniversary this week. Rebecca, you go first.
Why are you making me go first?
All right, Larry, you go first.
I'm going to say
I have no idea.
32 years.
So what's
30.
the
I'm going to say. I'm going
gonna
to say 30 years. 30 years.
I was gonna. Oh my god!
Well, give me a
Okay,
year.
See, this is why I
1990
didn't want to
what?
answer first. I was gonna say 2002.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to say. I'll say 94.
Okay. Well, if it was Price is Right rules, you both went over. It is the 32nd anniversary. So you were right. Go with your gut.
Yeah.
On May
gosh,
22nd,
yeah.
1990, Microsoft
Nice job, Larry.
Solitaire
Yeah.
made its way onto Windows 3.0. You probably installed it day one, Larry. So
At day one
it is the
update.
most played video game of all time.
Well, do you
Which I
know
just
what
think
its
is very
purpose
interesting.
was?
So, I believe I know, and
Yes.
I believe it has something to do with this. But
That's
you tell
exactly
me
right.
If I'm
Not-
correct.
You're exactly right. It was originally designed because that was at the beginning of the graphical user interface era for computing. So this was designed to show people a fun way of how to click and drag and move your mouse because people didn't know how to do that before.
Wow.
So this was a way to
That's so
interact.
cool.
Apparently, and I don't know this, but I've been told that because again I've been working at Microsoft for quite some time, that that this was a Bill Gates project that he liked because he loved solitaire and he wanted it in there. So that's I don't know.
Wow, that's fun trivia.
There you go.
Yeah, I was a fun child. I used to play solitaire with cards, and like if you messed up, like it's like 10
I
minutes
never
to shuffle and
understood
redo
any
them.
of the other versions of it. There's like Klondike.
They're
Me
really
neither.
good.
Yeah,
Right,
and I
so
just-
highly recommend Spider Solitaire Vegas rules. Like, can you play solitaire in Vegas like
No.
for money? Like if you could, I would do it in a second. Like I think because you start off in the hole $1 a card, -52, and every card that you put into the top, I know it has a name, the bank, whatever it is, you get $5 back.
Right.
Now most games you're at a deficit, but then if you win 50, you get $250, right? So right, 52 times 5, something like that. Anyway, I would do it, but like sometimes you get into a real big hole, and anyway, this is what I play on planes. So
Solitaire. There we go.
solitaire.
Thank you.
Has anyone ever been as excited as solitaire as I was in that moment?
Nope.
Maybe not.
No, definitely
Maybe
not.
back in 1990. Happy
Maybe
happy
you and Bill
birthday.
Gates.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember. Did solitaire? Because remember back in the '90s. I hope maybe you remember, Rebecca, Jeff. I certainly remember. There was always the boss key.
I actually do know what you're talking about, even though I was like a small child. Tell me if I have this right. So I had a Texas Instruments computer that was like a hand-me-down from my uncle in like the really late 80s, and we play like math games and Burger Time on it.
Yeah.
And there was a button you could hit, and if you hit it, like a bunch of like janky-looking graphs, like business graphs, would
right.
pop up or something
Right.
like that. Was that what the
Yeah.
boss
So
key
essentially, what it was in the '90s, most people didn't have. People were starting to get personal computers at home, but at work, you could play a game, and it had a special key. What keystroke. Every game was different, or every game was different. Where you could hit this keystroke, and it would pop up a faux Excel picture or something, because there was before a browser. So that's why they call it. Because when the boss shows up, you hit the button. It's called the boss key. Boom, done.
So they couldn't tell you were playing games.
Right, so they couldn't tell you were
So
playing
it looked like
games.
you were working hard, and then when they left, then you would go back
Oh,
to
okay.
Right.
playing Burger Time.
Boss key. That's the tip there. So anyway, all right, we've sufficiently dated ourselves. Let's bring us back into 2022. Rebecca, we've got some interviews. You want to bring us into the interviews this week? We got quite a collection.
All right, and this week to chat with us for the xCloud team, we have Catherine Gluckstein. We also have Stephen Tokowski from Iodine Chronicles and Ada Dwan from Mojang Studios.
All right, Fortnite on iOS, iPad OS, Android phones, tablets, and Windows PC. You can play with xCloud for free. Joining us today, Catherine Gluckstein, who is the VP of xCloud. Great to see you, Catherine.
It's so nice to be here, Larry.
It's funny, you and I have worked together for a long time, and we were just talking before we started recording. It's taken 5 years to get you on the show because you've been so busy working on a lot of things. I'm just thrilled to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I was just thinking you didn't want to invite me, Larry, or something.
Oh no, it's just funny. Everybody else comes on. I've had Phil on frequently and so forth, but it was the right moment. I've had Kareem on because you've worked with Kareem with xCloud in the past. But I wanted to get you on to talk about this great news. Of course, this news came out last week. This news dropped after we recorded last week's show, so I was like, I got to get Catherine on. Tell us a little bit about the headlines, just to remind people what we did last week, because it's kind of exciting.
It was awesome, It was us coming together with our friends at Epic to bring Fortnite back to mobile phones. And so we've been working with them for a number of months to build just, an incredible experience for our players. So you have these sort of native light touch controls. So it's just like you're playing the game as if it was native on your mobile phone, but it's streamed from the clouds. And so just terrific to be able to make that game so accessible around the world on the devices that people want to play on.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fascinating on the xCloud journey for so long, and you've been over there working on that with the team, and your team has been building some amazing products, and not just building it and moving on, but you're refining it, and you're taking the learnings, and it's really been quite the journey for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members, hasn't it?
Totally. And I think that's so well said, Larry. We really view this as a journey. It's about all those incremental gains that you make. And we've seen some terrific improvements as we put our V3 server, I should say our Series X and S servers into data centers. Internally, we call them V3. That's our code name. Sure. But as we put that in, just the quality of the experience, the near native type quality of the experience, it's just astonishing work by so many people across Team Xbox, as you know, and just to be on this journey with everybody and bringing these games to people who haven't necessarily been able to play some of them before, it's just incredible. I mean, the reception we got when we went to Brazil, it kind of blew our minds.
Yeah.
Just amazing, amazing, amazing.
And I know that a lot of folks in the U.S. watch the show or listen to the show, but xCloud is in many, many regions. And I know you have. I get hit up on Twitter all the time, as I'm sure you probably do. When is it coming to my region? And we've got global plans. We want to bring it to everybody that wants it, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, Phil, as you know, you've had him on, we'll talk about our quest to reach 3 billion gamers across the planet. I just really think of this, with the player. What does the player want? What content? Where do they want to play it? On what devices? And how do we bring their friends with them? And that's really the work we're all engaged with. And just, so if we haven't reached your region yet, rest assured we're on our way. And, all those I get great feedback on Twitter and I love it, and just know we've got a lot of exciting things in the works.
I mean, we talked about right now we're in 26 different countries in beta, and that's amazing. But really the news last week was the fact, as you just said, again, that you can play Fortnite on iOS, iPadOS, Android phones and tablets, and Windows PC with Xbox Cloud Gaming for free in a browser. That's pretty extraordinary technology, right? That we're using on our stack. I mean, there's a lot going on there, but it's amazing that you're bringing it to so many devices.
That's exactly right. I mean, today we reach more than 1 billion devices, which, is a figure that's just huge, right?
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Just a ton of work's gone on to make sure that this is a great experience. And that was our number one thing as we came to market with this, was making it a really, really great experience for players. And the reception and feedback we've been getting the last few days has been amazing, and as you also importantly say, this is the first game that we've made available outside of Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah. So you can come and you can just try this for free. Come and try it out with us and let us know what we think. As you talked about, this is a journey. We get better with feedback and we want to keep growing.
Yeah, and I also, we talked about this a moment ago before we started recording, is that it's also exciting because you worked with Epic and the Fortnite team to put some unique skins in there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, really cool, especially for sort of Xbox players. We put skins around Master Chief and also Gears of War, Kate and Marcus. And if you play on xCloud, you get a special matte design skin. So just really cool stuff. And we've got more of these things in the works with Epic. It's all about really honing that experience and making it just such a great place for our players to play.
Having a free-to-play game that's free for everybody on xCloud Gaming is an extraordinary jump, and I'm sure, we're not really ready to talk about numbers, but we had a few numbers that we talked about in the Microsoft earnings last week. They're pretty big. I don't know if you want to talk about those or if you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Satya, I mean, and it's awesome when Satya is talking about the business that we're building, right? Talked about that we'd had 10 million uniques playing on xCloud. I can tell you that number is moving very nicely indeed. And really what
Moving
I
up.
think about, yes. Thanks, Larry. Absolutely moving up. And what I think about with that is a number of things. We are seeing people play with us who've never played in the Xbox ecosystem before.
Yeah.
And equally, as we see those numbers moving up, we also see the total number of hours moving faster than that. So
Right.
we're seeing this become a real place that people want to play many, many of their games, which is an incredible thing.
Do you think? And I think, you know, I've played on xCloud. I've got my Backbone, and I play on my iPhone and whatnot. And it's really great to be able to just jump in. But the fact that, like, there's people listening right now that may not have a Game Pass subscription. I don't know why, because you should have that. But they can open it up. And it's funny when I go over and I look at over the past few days, and I look at some of the Apple blogs and people talking about this. There's a lot of conversation about, wait a minute, what happened here? This is really one of the only ways you can play really console quality games on your iPhone and your iPad, right?
Totally. And to make it even easier than that, as you know, we've built many of these sort of native touch controls.
Right.
On Fortnite, a vast majority of our players are playing on mobile phones with native touch controls, not even using a controller.
Right.
And that, to me, is all about accessibility. You don't need anything other than your phone, a browser, and the internet, and you are playing the game you want to play with your friends.
And the beautiful part about the touch controls, they're customized to the game. Right? You know, It's not just like the ABXY that you can kind of say jump or hat or shoot or do whatever you're going to do. So it's really customized. So it's really tries, again, when we hold one of these in our hands, it's like, oh, which one does what again? Whereas with the on-screen controls, it tells you exactly this is jump, right?
Totally. And that is, I mean, more than 150 of these games we've worked with the developers to build these touch controls. And in the case of Fortnite, they are completely native, so that all the menus work with touch, the camera settings, everything that you are doing works natively. So it literally feels like native gameplay. And I mean, honestly, some of the team members who have made this happen alongside our partners, you know, I think I've said it before, but it does blow my mind what they're able to do. Just incredible things.
We'll put a link off to the blog post, which again was announced last week, and you had a blog post that you wrote up on Xbox Wire. We'll put a link off to that. Wanted to get you on this week. Catherine, I want to thank you on behalf of all the gamers for bringing more games to more people everywhere on all the different devices that we own. And I know your team is hard at work on even more exciting things, so we can't say much more right now, but I want to thank you for all your work on that. And again, congratulations on the recent launch of Fortnite on xCloud. Thanks again.
Well, thank you, Larry, and thank you for the support. This really is one team, you know, across Team Xbox, just the incredible people coming together to build the vision of gaming, right?
Absolutely. We'll get you on again, right?
I would love that, Larry. Hopefully not 5 years, right?
Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Catherine.
It's my pleasure today to welcome to the podcast Ada Dwan, who's the General Manager of Social Impact and Partnerships at Mojang Studios and has a really great history in the gaming industry. And I'm very lucky to call you my team member. So welcome to the podcast.
So happy to be here. Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah. So first, do you mind just explaining, what your role entails? What exactly is social impact, and what kind of work do you do with partnerships?
Absolutely. So I lead social impact and partnerships for Mojang Studios. And that means I get to look at ways that we can leverage the Minecraft game and franchise to do good in this world. So there are many things that we can do. Obviously, there are so many different social challenges that we could tackle, but really we're focused on 3 areas that we think that Minecraft can uniquely and authentically have impact in this world. And that's really around education, equity, and sustainability. So very excited to be in this role. I've been doing partnerships for a very long time, and we think that we don't want to have impact just in terms of what Mojang is doing, but we're going to do a lot of that through partnerships. And that's where we can have the most impact in this world.
Yeah, that's a great point because we could do a lot on our own, but there are already so many great organizations that are out there. They're established, like they have channels that they can like reach people in need. So it's great that we're looking for folks that we can team up with. And I don't know about you personally, but for me, I that's one thing I really enjoy about working on the Minecraft team is it's I like to say it's a very aggressively like team that wants to give back and wants to have a good impact in the world. So yeah, I love the work that you're leading. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And also, when we talk about partnerships, we have so many great internal partnerships as well. We work with Team Xbox, we work with broader Microsoft, and our community as well. There's so much good that our community already does with our games. So we're so excited to be able to amplify that and support that with what we're doing.
Let's see. And so before Mojang Studios, you were with Lucasfilms, and I actually Googled and I found you on a bunch of different Star Wars game credits. Can you tell us about your work with them?
Absolutely. So I started in the games industry more than 15 years ago at LucasArts, the video game publishing arm of Lucasfilm. Back when we were making games for Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation Portable. So not to date myself, but yes, been working on a lot of Star Wars and Indiana Jones games, and it was super fun. And after we were acquired by Disney, I actually led the interactive team, and we were the first team to bring Star Wars Battlefront, and working with a very talented group at DICE to bring Battlefront 10 years after Battlefront 2. So it was just really such a privilege to be able to do that.
That's so cool. Yeah, you've worked on some of the coolest projects in the gaming industry, I think. I can only imagine what kind of swag you must have at home also.
Definitely a lot. A lot of it's with my kids right now, but yes, they love it.
Yeah, I also saw that you're wearing the Women in Gaming shirt. It's funny, I almost wore that same shirt today.
Could have been twins.
Yeah. That's another thing I wanted to chat with you about because Microsoft has all of these awesome ERGs. One of them is the Women in Gaming, which you and I are both a part of. But you're also the executive sponsor for Asians at Xbox, which I'm also a part of. Can you tell us a little bit about what that entails and what kind of work you do with Asians at Xbox?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Asians at Xbox is one of our Gaming for Everyone communities and one of the newer communities that we've established here at Xbox just over 2 years ago. And as executive sponsor, I work very closely with our co-leads who actually do a lot of planning for the year in terms of all the things we would like to do with the community. And that's everything from supporting each other in career development to coming together to talk about hard issues like we did last year when the rise against Asian American hate crimes were happening, and how do we support each other and lift each other during times like that, and absolutely get together for celebrations. So Lunar New Year and holiday celebrations. So there's so much that we can do to celebrate this diverse and rich community that we have here at Xbox.
Yeah, I can't wait until next year when maybe we start to do things in person again and I can come back and especially because the food will be so good for these different celebrations. But yeah, I think that I personally, like, I've been so happy to join Asians at Xbox. I joined like a year and a half ago, something like that. I think it's so important that for a company like Xbox or Microsoft that talks about the importance of having like a healthy like external community and like fostering like a good like network like within our gaming community, it's so important to have that be reflected internally as well. And I think that there are just so many like good like resource groups and just like different communities internally that are being hosted, like Women in Gaming, like Asians at Xbox. So I personally love that kind of work. I think it's so crucial to having the change inside and then seeing that reflected outside too.
Absolutely. Like, I think that's one of the roles that we play here. I mean, when I first started in the gaming industry, there were not as many women in the industry, and certainly fewer Asian women. And so it's just really nice to see kind of the diversity continue to, expand not only across the industry, and here at Xbox have the ability to be able to support our very, our growing diverse community as well. And to your point, I think one of the things that's so important about that is that, we start to represent the population of gamers that are out there playing our games. And so I've been in situations where, as I've noticed, the people who sit around the table and make decisions about, games we choose to market or games we choose to invest in, are start to be different because you have more and different voices, at that table making decisions. And so it's been really exciting and rewarding to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even within the Mojang Studios team, like I've been working either with Minecraft in some capacity or on the Minecraft team for I think like 7 years now. It's been a really long time. And just, even seeing like the way that like our team leadership has changed has been really inspiring to see. I guess, what do you think is next for Mojang Studios, just as far as like social impact and the work that you're doing? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are a lot of things, as I mentioned earlier, the key areas that we're looking into. I think we already have such a strong presence with our Minecraft education product, and I think we're using that as also one of the platforms to actually raise awareness on some of the issues that we're seeing today. And so we're looking at kind of even combining the different focus areas that we have. So an example of what we're doing with our education product is we've released content called Climate Futures, where players can go in and look at in different biomes and see how their actions have an actual real world impact on climate change. So we're raising awareness there. And one of the big things we want to do is we have such a large community around the world that we want to also activate our community to have greater impact and bring more ways that they can contribute to have positive impact in this world as well.
I love that. Okay, well, one final question for you, and I just love to ask people who, like myself, do not come from a technical background. I don't know how to code. As someone who works on the business side of gaming, like what kind of advice would you give for someone who also wants to pursue like a non-technical business related role in the gaming industry?
Yeah, I mean, my thought there is really just reach out and make connections and talk to somebody in the studio. And we're here to actually provide more visibility. When I first started in the industry, I wasn't aware of all the different roles that are available within a game studio. And so create that network, and once you make one connection, they probably know 3 or 4 other people you can talk to. So continue to build out your network and have the conversations. The one last thing I would actually just add there too is that we are looking for more and more people who don't just come from a gaming background, because I think where we're going in the future isn't where we've been in the past, and gaming itself is becoming more and more broad. And so it's exciting to get the different perspectives, not only in terms of just backgrounds, but people who have different experiences from all different kinds of industries.
You're totally right. I mean, I was just on another call today where I was telling some folks how our like marketing and community team have like doubled or tripled in size in the last 5 years. Like just the amount of people that we need, obviously we still need people to make the games, right? But then the people we need to like help them reach the right audiences and communicate with our fan base, like that's super important too. So, well, I think that's all our time. So thank you so much, Ada. This has been a great chat. I've been looking forward to this all week. And I really appreciate you joining us.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
One of the most anticipated JRPGs that is coming our way is Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. This is a game with a tremendous pedigree. We're going to be talking about this in a second. It's coming out in 2023, but there's great news for those of us who cannot wait for it, and that is a prelude, a companion game. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising is available now and is included with Xbox Game Pass. And here to tell us all about it is Stephen Tokowski from 505 Games. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks, Jeff, for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity.
So I've been playing a ton of Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I'm one of those people that's been very excited, looking forward to Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. But first, could we back up a little bit and sort of talk about the pedigree of the team that is developing this Eiyuden Chronicle really universe?
Sure. So the development team is Rabbit and Bear Studios, and they're well known for the Suikoden series. And Mr. Murayama, Yoshitaka Murayama, is very well respected in the JRPG world. Suikoden is considered one of the top JRPGs of all time. So huge fan base, major community, and it's just incredible pedigree from a JRPG standpoint.
So I know that Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes went up on Kickstarter in, I want to say 2020. Tremendous response. I think number 3 most backed game of all time. I think there's definitely a pent-up demand here. But at what point did the team say, hey, we have an opportunity to deliver even more in this world, but with this companion game, Eiyuden Chronicle Rising?
So Rabbit and Bear Studios, after seeing the response from the community, which was truly incredible. I mean, number 1 backed Kickstarter game of 2020, number 3 backed game of all time on Kickstarter. It really came down to them saying, how can we reward our fans? How can we reward the people who made this happen? And that's where this companion game came from. And Rising, goes into backstory for some of the companions you're going to have in 100 Heroes. And they felt that this was a great way to reward the community while they wait.
All right, so let's dive into Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I've been playing it. We did a stream actually last week, which was really fun. And then I went home and I started the game over again when it launched on Xbox Game Pass this week. And I'm 3-4 hours in. I've been having a great time.
Nice.
This is a different genre entirely, though, from what Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is going to be. This is much more action oriented. Can you just tell us sort of, really how the game works?
Sure. So it is an action RPG, which is obviously very different than 100 Heroes, which is a JRPG. And in Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, you play 3 characters, and they are CJ, Isha, and Garou. And they are helping to rebuild a town. There's a lot of exploration. Unlike most RPGs where you're upgrading just characters, in Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, you're upgrading an entire town and you're upgrading shops and so forth. So it's a pretty fun and unique experience. It's all about the story, though. We're talking about 20 plus hours of gameplay and looks beautiful. It's 2.5D. And while it's different, you still have a great story that's included.
Yeah, really having, like I said, a great time with it. There's some really, I would say it starts off very simple. I found it sort of relaxing. You're mostly using CJ early on and sort of traversing these worlds that I would definitely recommend. And I'm hoping we'll see some footage in here. Just the level of animation that's taking place all throughout the background and different layers. And it seems like a sort of a lot of loving touches here to this world. But this is actually going to ultimately end up connecting to Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, not just in terms of like lore and story, but actually in a more tangible way. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So you will be able to transfer content from Rising to 100 Heroes as long as you stay on the same platform. For example, if you completed Rising on Xbox, you will have transferable content for 100 Heroes if you continue to play on Xbox. So we felt that was another cool way to reward. You don't have to play Rising to play 100 Heroes, and you don't need the content necessarily, but it's just very, cool to have, and it adds to the whole value and experience. So, we thought it would be fun to connect the 2 games together like that.
Yeah, I would, again, highly recommend you enjoy it. I'm just having just a really good time. I'm finding it to be both relaxing, but now as I'm getting further into the game, there's more challenge in the combat. And when you have the multiple characters, you can string together really cool combos where you switch from characters on the fly, which you can even use that even for traversal in some situations, which I found to be really cool. I would like something that I think when people are outside of the industry and they look in and they will say, hey, I want this thing, but you're doing this thing. Why don't you just focus on the thing that I want? But you all have thought ahead about this, and it's different teams actually that are working on 100 Hero and that have put together Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, correct?
Correct. So we, didn't want to detract from the, core focus, which is 100 Heroes. So Rabbit and Bear Studios are focused on 100 Heroes, but we have this companion game. And so Natsumi Atari was brought in. They're the developers of the game. However, Rabbit and Bear Studios are still supervising over that development to make sure that everything properly fits into the Eiyuden Chronicle world. And it's just not a side piece that's not at all relevant. I mean, there's value. You have actual characters who are in 100 Heroes who are going to be your main characters in Rising, and even the shopkeepers are going to play a function in 100 Heroes and so forth. So it's all part of the overall world of Allrun.
And again, if you're excited about 100 Heroes, I really just highly recommend that you jump into Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, get a feel for it, the music, the animation, the art style, and the characters, some of which I'm like, they put a lot of work into that character. I think I'm going to see them again down the line. So for those who are going to play Rising and are going to be looking forward to Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, how do they stay in contact with the development team?
Sure. So, the development team is very open. They're active on Discord as one platform. And, we have AMAs. You can see them log on. They're interacting with the community. We're very open to feedback as well. So, if you have suggestions or either for this title or for a future title, come in, talk, discuss. We're active on all platforms, and Xbox will definitely be the official club for Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, and 100 Heroes is definitely a place where you can jump in, provide comments, interact, and we look forward to hearing feedback from the whole community.
And Stephen, we look forward to having you back as we get closer to the release of Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Thank you so much for taking time, and enjoy Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, available on Game Pass right now.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thank you, Ada, Stephen, and Catherine. Now, we've been talking about playing Fortnite like through the cloud, and at the end of that battle pass that I've been working on is Doctor Strange, and I'm still working on it. I'm like maybe 60% of the way there, but you've got like Doctor Strange stuff now. You've already unlocked your battle pass. Is that right, Rebecca?
Well, wait a minute. Let's be clear. Usually I'm the one who gets all the swag and everything, but we decided to send, because Rebecca has maybe the smallest room between the three of us, we sent her the largest box. So why don't you show us what you got there?
Yes. All right. I need to actually move my mic. One sec.
Yeah, we'll
Doctor
try.
Strange lives in New York, and actually his house looks huge.
It's very fitting.
Oh my God! Look
at the size of this thing. I have
What
not
is
seen
this?
this yet, Jeff. You haven't
Is
seen
that
it
a
yet.
55-gallon drum?
I saw the package downstairs and I was like, oh, that giant thing can't possibly be for me. But then I caught a glimpse of the 2 tag and I was like, oh my gosh.
So this is the special custom Xbox console and controllers that you can enter to win at Xbox Wire. We've teamed up with Marvel Studios, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's in theaters now, Jeff. Have you seen it? Oh my goodness, look at that thing.
Wow. Okay. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, show us what you got there, Rebecca.
Show us and tell us.
You have a Series S.
Yes, here we have the Xbox Series S. It's custom with, I can't remember the name. So I haven't seen the movie yet. I was actually going to see it last weekend, but the seats were all reserved. And so I had a hard time getting in. But so this is the new, some kind of like intergalactic monster.
Shuma Gorath. And I know that because Shuma Gorath was in like Marvel vs. Capcom, I want to say.
I watched like 5 breakdown videos on YouTube of the Doctor Strange trailer for like little Easter eggs and stuff. And so I saw this thing attacking America Chavez. Speaking of which, this one is for America Chavez. It's very American and rugged looking. This one must be Wanda because it's got like the dark dark
for sure.
magic, dark matter.
Scarlet Witch.
And they all have the movie logo on the back. This one must be Doctor Strange because it's got the, gosh, I'm doing really bad at my like nerd trivia today. I don't remember what the thing is called. The eye of something? The thing that holds the time
It's where
stone.
it used to have like the time stone. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's for Wong. So I think those are just supposed to be his like robes. And one thing that's pretty cool and very extra is that so there's the note explaining what's in the package, and then on the back of it, nothing, right? But then using this flashlight, which is blue light, black light, there's an Xbox Game Pass code. So I'll
put it
check
up
that
there.
Code out.
Yeah, let's put it up there.
How do we follow you, by the way, Rebecca?
I'm on Twitter.
Well,
Why
there it
can't
is.
you win? Thank you, Larry.
I'm on Twitter.
I've never done a giveaway before, so I'm like, can I do this? Can I just say I'm going to tweet it out?
Yeah, you can do that.
Anyway, but yeah. So thank you to Marvel Studios for working with us on this very cool and very large. I know, wouldn't it be awful if I dropped it?
Don't do that. But if you really like what you're seeing, then you should head over to Xbox Wire at news.xbox.com. You have until May 20th. Everybody, it is region specific, so go read the official sweepstakes terms and conditions to find out what's going on there. But we would love to love for someone on the show to enter and win and show off your controller as well. Yes, Jeff.
And in the meantime, Rebecca's got a new dining room table.
Yeah.
Or yeah, she's got or an end
Yeah,
table. But either way, it's quite a luxurious gift, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to break down the box as much as I can, but still I'm sure my janitor in the building is going to be like, what the heck is this? So.
Well, there you go. I got a little something that is unscheduled and not on our show notes that I'd like to share.
Ooh.
I tweeted it. Kind of buried it on a Friday afternoon last week and tweeted it out, but I want to make sure I remind folks. I'm headed to Australia. I'm going to be going down to Melbourne for our Fan Fest down there. We announced the Fan Fest as part of our showcase activities, and I am going to be headed to Melbourne, Australia, second week of June. I'll be there for a few days. I'm looking forward to that. So I don't know how we're going to do the show. We got to figure that part out.
How does
You don't want
that
to just
work?
take us to Australia with you?
I would love to, but I've seen the schedule. We're all quite busy in the second week of June. Let's be clear. But it's going to be fun. I'll have more details on that, but you can go to news.xbox.com and you'll see the FanFest post on there. So I'm excited to do that. You'll miss me, won't you, Jeff?
Well, I was just thinking about how, like, if we did somehow remote the show, I'd be like, Larry, go into the bathroom. I want to see which way the toilet flushes.
I will happily do that for you. There's nothing like toilet humor, weather and toilet humor. That's what you get with the
science.
show.
It's the Coriolis
Weather.
effect. I want to know.
Anyway, so I'll talk more about that in future shows. We're looking forward to doing that. So anyway, all right, we got to wrap it up here. Thanks for Rebecca. Thanks for joining us from New York, and glad you'll be able to haul that up to your place. And Jeff, thank you. By the way, thank you both for your time with those interviews. Great to have those folks on the show and learn more about their projects. And we'll be back next week. We got a pretty interesting show coming up over the next few weeks. So we got some really cool stuff planned. So Jeff, hopefully you'll join us.
I mean, if there's really cool stuff that I would like to know what those things are.
And weather permitting, Rebecca will join us. So.
I was going to say, depends on the weather, depends on the toilets. No.
Depends on something like. Anyway, all right, gang. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.